right into the REAC meeting here. Let me go ahead and get that pulled up. Shout out to Jeff Campbell for airing the study session that I had a conversation about REAC that aired just before this. So I encourage you to go and watch that if you need some context as to what is going to be discussed this evening. So they should be getting started in just about a minute. You can see Council Person Chamberlain is set and right there. And of course, the conduit missed the last REAC meeting as I was interviewing the girls from the Mason County High School. So my hope is that I'll be able to post that at some point in time. All right, here folks come. And we will get started.
Hi, everyone. Hi, happy Thursday. Good to see everybody.
Good to see you, Quinn.
Excellent. Just a quick note, Aaron is going to be gone from the meeting tonight, and so is Anna. Anna is not feeling well, and Aaron has some family obligations. I'm not sure if everybody saw the emails.
And Karen messaged me and said she's going to be in her school board meeting late tonight.
Excellent. Did anybody hear from Laomi? Is that the only person that would be missing then? Okay. All right. Well, why don't we get it started, and hopefully Laomi joins us. But today is Thursday, November 10th, and I called the Race Equity Advisory Committee to order. It's good seeing everybody tonight. Looking at the agenda, it looks like we didn't assign land acknowledgement. Does somebody want to read the land acknowledgement to kick us off?
I'll read it. Let me pull it up real quick.
Great, thanks, Daryl.
I was trying to pull it up for a volunteer.
No worries.
Something that was helpful last time was broadcasting it live with a recommendation from a community member.
Oh,
Sharing your screen.
very smart to share the screen.
Well, I have it, Quinn, I actually have it in the email, but it's not, the whole thing is not shown. Is there any way we can show that and I'll read it?
Yeah, let me pull it up from my email. I just gotta find it real quick. Sorry about that.
I don't want to cut no words off.
Sorry, just taking a moment.
Actually, it just came through. Okay.
Oh, awesome. Sorry.
Every part of this soil is sacred in the is that it? Every part of this soil is sacred in the estimation of my people. Every hillside, every valley, every plain and grove has been hallowed by some happy, sad or happy event in the days long vanished. Chief Seattle. We'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the ancestral territory of the Sequat people of clear salt water, Suquamish people, expert fishermen, canoe builders, and basket weavers. The Sequat, in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's Central Sileus Sea, as they have been for thousands of years. Here, the Sequat live and protect the land land and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855.
Excellent, thank you. Would somebody like to read REAC's purpose and vision?
Do you have it yet to share on the screen?
I've got it pulled up. I can read it if that works, Jennifer. So the purpose of the Bremerton Race Equity Advisory Committee is to advise the City Council by applying a race equity analysis to all aspects of government and to maintain engagement with and accountability to other work being done throughout the Bremerton community in service of race equity. Our vision, the Bremerton Race Equity Advisory Committee envisions a city that strives to continually dismantle its own institutional racism within policies, programs, budgets, initiatives, legislation, systems, and infrastructure. A city that amplifies and joins racially, culturally, and socially integrated community endeavors toward equity, well-being, liberation for all, and aspires to model for the nation a city in which people of different races, ethnicities, and backgrounds can interact, form friendships, and participate fully in the community's political, economic, educational, cultural, and civic endeavors.
Great, thank you. And then let me see, it does look like we have some participants in the audience, so it might be helpful for us to go around and introduce one another. I'm sorry, ourselves. Go ahead. It looks like Jennifer, you're in my top left corner if you want to start.
Jennifer Chamberlain, District 1, Council Vice President. There you go.
Great. Daryl, looks like it's you.
Daryl Riley, community member, entrepreneur.
Glenna?
My name is Glenna. My pronouns are she, her, and in my day job, I'm a teen services librarian at the Kitsap Regional Library.
Awesome. Sarah?
Sarah Van Gelder, Bremerton resident.
And I am Quinn Dennehy. I'm the chair of the Race Equity Advisory Committee and also District 4 council member. Excellent. So the next thing I believe on our agenda, and I'm switching screens left and right, sorry about that, is approval of meeting minutes. It looks like we have both October 13th, 2022 meeting and our November 1st, 2022 special meeting. I think those were sent out. Does anybody have any amendments that they would like to make to those minutes? Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, I'd like to suggest we leave that to the end of the meeting because I think there were things missing, but if we take care of those things during the course of this meeting, then they become less important.
Got you. Is everybody okay with that? Yep. Okay, perfect. All right, let's put that towards the end. If somebody could remind me that we still need to approve that at the end, because I will forget, sorry. So the big thing that we need to talk about today is really just one thing, and that is the REAC structure. So we have follow-up discussion on the proposed ordinance and finalized recommendation to City Council. So basically, yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
One of the things that I wasn't sure what finalized recommendations to City Council meant, but one of the things we did discuss last time was our opposition to the DEI position. And a task force was created to work on a draft statement based on a unanimous vote of this group. That task force has in fact met, and we're prepared to bring that statement that explains why we're opposed to this full group. So that was one of the things I saw missing from the last agenda, and it's missing from the last minutes, and it's missing from this agenda as well. So I'd like to respectfully ask that we bring it onto the agenda so we can go ahead and approve the wording.
Yeah, definitely. So I know that came up last special meeting. I wasn't there, so I didn't understand the plan. Were you guys planning on bringing that to public comment when we vote on the budget on the 16th? Is that, or was it just going to be sent like as an email or a letter from REAC?
We, at the last meeting, we voted unanimously to oppose this DEI position, which I think is important to include in the minutes. We also then asked a task force made up of Dr. Bolton, Aaron, and myself to draft a statement that explains why we were opposed. We did that, and now we need the full group to review that statement to make sure it reflects the views of the entire group, not just the three of us. So we did our best to pull on the comments that were made during that meeting of why we had a unanimous vote at that time. And we now need to refine that to make sure it does reflect.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, so we don't, okay, so here's where we're at, Sarah. We don't really have time to do that today because we have been instructed by legal, and we had a meeting last night at City Council to finish the recommendations for the ordinance. May I respectfully ask that we move it to the December meeting, but also if that's not amenable, maybe we can, if we have time, add it to the end of the meeting.
Well, I'd be willing to have it added to the end of the meeting, but then we would definitely need the minutes from our last meeting to reflect
I agree.
the fact that the unanimous vote did take place.
I agree with that. And I
use the minutes to change what this group actually did during a meeting.
Also, I'd like to add that unanimously means that the council members voted as well. So with the position that we're taking, we're asking the council members to lead this. We don't want this operated like any other situation because we're in a time constraint. I understand what legal is asking to do, but you don't even really have a committee after December. So it really makes no sense for us to put the carriage before the horse to satisfy what they want us to do. If this arrangement is good enough to last for the rest of this year, then I think that's good enough to put off until the next meeting, as opposed to this issue, which is going to be slid up under us and rubber stamped to give the mayor what he wants.
We won't have until the next meeting. So we won't have until the next meeting to do the structure. So, I mean, if this committee dissolves as it is, then I mean, that would be a shame, but we really do need to work on the organization.
So let me give just a little bit of information, and Sarah, I'll call on you. The council will be voting. Legal took it to full council, which was not advised by anybody on REAC, but did take it to full council that the ordinance does need to be codified if the committee is to go forward in 2023. So it is pretty tantamount that we, as a committee, make a recommendation to council so that it can be brought up to their study session on December 14th, and we will be voting on it on the 21st. If this committee doesn't, have input there, then it'll go forward with whatever the council decides without that input. So it is pretty important. But I hear you. I guess my question was the mode of communicating that REAC was voting against the DEI funding. Were you guys planning on making public comment at the November 16th meeting, or was it basically going to be sent a letter? Because I'll say right now, I don't think I'm going to be voting with that. I do think it's important to fund the DEI position, so I'm not going to be bringing that forward. But
well, excuse me, Quinn. Let me clear something up for you. We didn't necessarily vote not to approve that position. We voted to halt it until we have more clarity and substance on the position, and more input on the position. Have you actually seen that job description?
Right.
I mailed it out to everybody, right? Y'all got it?
We've seen it and we've chewed through it. And every municipality in the country has ever tried it that way, including right here with Olympic College, has failed miserably, horribly. And the mayor doesn't have the right to go and hire somebody and ask you for $500,000 to pay for it, and not ask me how I feel about it, what my needs are, and what I desire. And he didn't have to do that because as a community, the leaders told him that, and he disregarded that. So now we should just accept that. the way it's written, he doesn't even have to work with us. He doesn't even have to communicate with us.
Yeah. And,
You know,
and I
and
think
it
that-
makes it more difficult.
And I think that's one of the suggested ordinances that is coming out that is a possibility for us to recommend. Right now, the way that REAC is structured, we're only advising city council. So we can only advise city council on their powers, which are the budget and drafting ordinances. If there is desire to be putting input into the DEI manager, the executive branch, we need to write that into an ordinance and say, hey, this is going to be a committee or a commission that advises all branches. Right now, we don't have that ability, right? Like REAC is just advising council. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, so fortunately, we don't have a lot of other things on the agenda that we have to do. And we have an hour and 45 minutes, so maybe we can do both.
Yeah.
And I'm personally, I'd be fine with doing them in either order. As long as we get on the record that this vote did in fact take place. I don't, whatever you or other people may disagree, that did in fact take place in the last meeting. The other thing that did take place is we went through what we would need in order to actually move on this proposed agenda ordinance. We agreed one of the things we needed was a copy of the ordinance, which Jennifer was kind enough to email to us after the meeting. So now we've had a chance to read that for the first time.
Great.
We said we would need a version of that we could edit together so that we could make changes as needed. And we would, let me finish. And we said we would need our legal counsel here so that when we had questions that would allow us to know what our options were, we'd be able to explore them in real time and come to a resolution. So those were the things that this committee said we would need in order to be able to move on this ordinance. I thought I was going to have more problems with it than I did. I actually like a lot of things about it, so I'm not.
Hey, are you joining us for the REAC meeting?
Sorry, yeah. So what we could do if we need legal counsel, because I know they came to our committee twice. They came once in February, once in September, and then we also were able to email questions and they got back to us with that. If we need legal counsel again before we put our approval, I would invite them to our December 8th meeting when we would actually finalize our recommendation. Because if we finalize on December 8th, study session is 14th for council, and then we could accept public comment from you all, or whatever letter or whatever thing you want to submit for that. And then the vote is on the 21st. Go ahead, Daryl.
So I'm in agreement with Sarah after reading over it. I'm really not in opposition to the way it is. I don't think most of us are. I would like to ask though, how would it differ in structure, or would we just have to add that sentence to the charter that we advise both branches of government?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. The way that I read it is that the very first kind of purpose and vision, and I can pull it up here. I have it
I'm looking at it right
here if that might be helpful. So let me try and share my screen. Sorry, I have a bunch open.
I've got the tools ready, and also it's my understanding that Quinn asked Kylie not to be here. Does anybody want me to share the workable documents so that we can work on them together as I promised at the last meeting?
No, that's not true, Jennifer. I didn't ask Kylie to not be here.
Oh, I just got off the phone. She said that she was asked not to join, or that she didn't need to be here. But she's going to see if Brett
she
can
wasn't
join.
asked not to join. That's not true. But we can have them at December 8th if you guys want. But let me share my screen and you guys can see.
Are you sharing an editable document?
I'm going to go ahead and leave the meeting. Have a good night, everybody.
Okay, so it looks like because Councilman Chamberlain was the host of the meeting, she killed the meeting. We'll hang out here for a little bit and see if they can relaunch it. But as you could clearly see, there was some kind of miscommunication or something that went on where someone was, according to Jennifer and the person she was talking to on the phone, they were told not to come to the meeting. Quinn said that wasn't true. And then Jennifer got off of the Zoom. But she was the host of the Zoom. And so now the Zoom is now gone. Uh, that is unfortunate. Hopefully, uh, I think the Zoom has ended. Someone would have to restart it. Yeah, I think they're all out of the Zoom. So someone would have to restart that Zoom. Maybe there's an off chance that there was someone else that took the co-host, but typically, if that's the case, then the meeting wouldn't have ended. So we'll hang out. We'll see what's going on. As you can see, this is very contentious. If you watch the meeting uh, that happened, I think earlier today or yesterday, uh, from City Council, you can see that there was a lot of exhaustion and exasperation. So we'll see what happens here. This work is hard. This work is hard. What I'll say is, you know, you have to have, um, people of color, and I really hate that term. A lot of this has to do with the black community. We're talking about racial equity lens, but we doesn't matter if we get tired, we can't change uh, how we walk through this country and in this city. Hmm. So, but it is tough, and unfortunately, what tends to happen uh, often is allies and other people that even fall in that same category get fed up and just kind of excuse themselves from it. I was just talking about this the other day. It's like, and it wasn't having to do with race. It was something else. And it's like, I'll go and help out the Humane Society, right? The puppies and the cats, they don't complain. They just want some love, and that's it. It's just a lot easier because this work is that hard. And so this thing is, to me, teetering. And if it gets lost here, this may not be picked up again until the next racial crisis in this country, which is unfortunate. Because clearly there was a need. So we'll hang out here a little bit, see if anything happens here. For those of you that are just joining us, I see the numbers increasing here. There was a conversation between Councilman Chamberlain with someone on the phone asking them if they were going to come. Uh, that person on the phone told Jennifer that she was told not to come by Councilman Quinn. Quinn said that wasn't true. And Councilman Chamberlain said, "Well, I'm leaving." She left the meeting, but she was the host of the meeting. So I don't think she meant to stop the meeting. Uh, but in her haste to leave, uh, she did not change the host to the co-host to keep the meeting going. So that is unfortunate. That is unfortunate. All right. What I'll do is I will reach out to members of REACT and see if I can't get what has become of the meeting, if they continued to talk, if they created another Zoom, if we didn't get connected, did they get onto a conference call on the phone? What did they do? Did they decide to just push this till December? I think from the way I was understanding it, something needed to be decided tonight. So, and they were missing quite a few people, right? Dr. Bolton, Laomi, there was quite a few people. Aaron Lydick, you had quite a few people missing tonight. So the voices are definitely important to be present for sure. All right. We'll give it like 2 more minutes. And if this thing doesn't come back on, then we'll go ahead and end this REACT meeting here. And then I will send an email and inquire as to what's going on. Also, city council is still going on. We're still in budget time. Um, please make your voice heard next Wednesday. That will be, I believe, the last time to make your voice heard. So that is going to be tremendously important. As you know, City Council has put aside 10 grand to address bathrooms down on ML King. Definitely a small start, but a start. And so we have to keep pressing to get more and more resources. And while we're here talking, the severe weather shelters are now open from now until March 31st. So you can get text alerts. Usually they come out around 1 or 2 p.m., letting folks know that the severe weather shelter is open. So I implore you to let the unhoused know and folks that work with the unhoused that they can call 360-373-3000 and set up a ride to the severe weather shelter. So very important. No one should be outside, and they shouldn't be outside, period, but definitely with the temperatures as they are. Okay. All right. Appreciate everyone hanging in there with me, waiting to see if they're going to come back on. Hopefully they do. I will probably do another show this evening. I want to kind of continue the conversation on elections and what's next. How do we continue to advocate and push forward? So important. Oops. I'm actually looking for something. That's why my background is changing. I can't seem to find it, which is bizarre. Because I just was using it yesterday. I'm like, where is this thing at? I was just using it. This is very interesting. And I know I didn't delete it because I was the only one in here. Hey, Pastor, how you doing? Okay, so let me pull it up really quick. The phone number to call is 360-373-3000. And there are 4 severe weather shelters that are located. There are none in Bremerton, which is why definitely folks need the transportation to get there. Go ahead and pull that up for you, for everyone here. All right. Get that going. There. Your night going, Pastor Coleman. All right, here we go. Here is that information. And volunteers are needed. Also, Kirsten Jewell from the county was on Tuesday, on Wednesday, yesterday, and what she was saying is they are looking for other churches and organizations to set up the severe weather shelters in their spaces. So if you want the church or your organization to serve as a severe weather shelter, I will scroll down to the bottom for the information there. But there are 4 locations. There's one in Paulsbo, one in Kingston, one in Port Orchard, and one in Silverdale. Again, call 360-373-3000. Together, Grow Together is providing that transportation. We partner with the county on that. If you call 211, that will also connect you to us. But they do need volunteers, right? So the only way they can keep these spaces open is if they have enough volunteers to staff the severe weather shelter. Need is the overnight. Okay. The severe weather shelter is open from November 1 to March 31st. Again, there are 4 locations: Poulsbo, Kingston, Port Orchard, and Silverdale. We have to transport folks there by about 7 p.m. So this isn't something that is open all night long. So if anybody works with the unhoused or, other people that work with the unhoused, please send this information to them. Give them our number, 360-373-3000. We will pick them up. And in the morning, we will pick them back up and bring them back to where we picked them up at. So if they are going somewhere for breakfast or for a meal, we can take them there. So we were all the way out to Suquamish last night, bringing someone in to the severe weather shelter. So we go all through the county. Okay. Oh, thank you, Miss Cynthia. Oh, okay, yeah. Please let them know. Yeah, we got some work for them for sure. We have some work for them for sure. Again, you can also go. I'll put this website here, prevention. If you want to check out that information, you can text. And I need to check on that. I sent the text tonight to put myself on the text list, and it said not optional today. So that might have meant that it wasn't open. And as you can see on the website, today it is closed because it's 42 degrees, right? So there are a few things that have to happen for the severe weather shelter to open. And so we are not in that status today. So yes, it is cold. Yes, it is windy, but the shelter's not open tonight, unfortunately. So, but they do need volunteers there. All right. And if you want to RSVP, you can RSVP at 360-979-6358. And if you want to fill out the volunteer form, that information is right there. I'll also go ahead and put this link in the chat for everyone so you can share that out with folks. But yeah, we definitely don't want people to be outside during this. All right. You said you can't hear me. What? Well, that's bizarre. Let's see. Huh, I can hear myself. I'm coming through on the live. You might have hit something on your side, Miss Cynthia, because I can hear myself through my TV. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Anyway, you were watching REACT this evening, and for all the new people that are continuing to come in, unfortunately, things got a little contentious. Council member Chamberlain was on the phone with another person and then relayed that to Quinn that this person was told not to come by Quinn. Quinn said no, that wasn't true, and Councilman Chamberlain seemed to get agitated. She said she was going to excuse herself from the meeting. Unfortunately, she was the host of the meeting, and so that ended the meeting. So I was waiting to see if they were going to reconvene. I don't think she did that on purpose. It's just if you're the host and you leave, that ends the meeting unless you give host powers to someone else. So I think that's what happened. There was no malice in that. So I just want to make sure that that is clear. Thank you, Pastor, for tuning in. I'm glad you got that information. So I'll be back later tonight with the show. And, again, we are at The Conduit. Do subscribe, like, and share. Someone sent me a message today saying that they weren't getting the shows. We do get shadow banned from time to time because of the topics we talk about. So if you haven't seen we do 7 to 10 shows a week. So if you're not getting a notification, unsubscribe, resubscribe, hit the notification, and say notify all. Okay. And then definitely share it out. We appreciate you. We are your local media. All right. I'm R1 Cameron. This is the Conduit Network.